we're live. Okay. Greetings, my friends. Hello, Deborah and Judith and Peggy. How are you ladies today? I'm so excited to bring you this cane. You know, I've made the bold claim that anyone can make this cane, and I am going to stand by that. Jessica and Mary, hello. And so this is the cane that I made before. I've been playing with it all day. I've cut a lot of pieces off of it. This is my scrap ball, which is going to be some killer Natasha's, I think. But anyway, I've been playing with it all day, really all week. And I want to show you how you can change up your cane. This is, hey Janice. This is obviously the kaleidoscope version. I don't make a lot of hexagons. They're okay, but I usually make squares so that I can use them, spread them out. Hey Marissa. Hey Gabby. And so I'll show you that. But something like this seems a lot more complicated than it is. And I hope that that's what you take away from today. Hey Mary. Hey Sherry. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to gather and we'll get going. We have a lot of ground to cover. I think this will probably take a couple hours. And I'm not guaranteeing it will be done. But I'm going to get as far, we will make the cane, and I'm going to start the reduction and see how close we get to the 2-hour mark. Because it's a lot of work. And there's no reason you have to do it all at one time, especially the reduction. My hands get kind of sore. Sometimes. I do it a lot. Hey, Judy. Hi, Debbie. I'm really glad you guys are here. Hey, Nita. Elena's over here. Nita's here, Elena.
I see that. I said hi to everyone.
We have a different Fishbowl of Destiny contest today. It's going to be very challenging. Hey, Margaret. Lena will tell you about it later on, but it's not going to be the usual, easy entry of guessing. Hi, Gail and Linda and Sue. Okay, there's no hurry. I see someone's trying to get their headset to tune in, their Bluetooth headset to pair with their computer. I know how that can be. Hi, Sherry and Leslie and Linda. Hey, Brandon. How you doing, baby? Suzanne, hi love, hi Hope. Renee, it's so cool to see you guys. I wish you were in the room with me. I wish you were here at the crypt. I've got the camera down here today because you kind of have to choose between one or the other. When Elena and I are on camera, there's one shot, but you guys need to see this. So I'm trying to get better at showing you more close-up views of what we're making, as I know that you need that. So if you missed it, this is my scrap ball. This is going to be awesome Natasha's. As a matter of fact, I called up, I didn't call up, I went online and I ordered some beads to go with this from Joanne. I like Joanne beads. They're really neat. They got some really cool stuff in there. And they're going to bring it out to my car tomorrow. I'm going to go to Indianapolis to pick it up. So I'll have some pretty things to put with this and make gifts for you guys. I haven't sent out last week's fishbowl gifts yet. I made them. I really just got them finished. Here's the bracelet from last week. Put deep shine on it. It came out perfect. I didn't have one little bubble, so I was very happy because I know sometimes people, maybe it's a little thick and they get a bubble. I'm sorry about that. I know that does happen sometimes. Thank you. Hey, Tracy, Tracy Jones, would you share this over to Hop? And if you can. Also, Just Polymer clay tutorials for sale or free. Tracy, would you share it over there, please? Because I can't mess with the camera much once I start filming. It really, really is touchy. Hey, Frankie. So Tracy Jones, if you'll share it to those two places, Lynn is monitoring to see what your answer is. Anyway, so here's one of them, and then where's that other one? This one turned out really pretty too. It's got some zigzag on the inside, zigzag cane, and then this is Skinner blend with some, you know, deep shine over it. I had it on earlier, but I'm not good with jewelry. You know, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? Kind of gets on my nerves when I'm working, and it whacks against the work surface. And hi, Patty. Oh, Florida. How nice. How nice. I'm going to go there someday. That's one place I really, really want to go. Huh, Lena? We should go.
Mm-hmm. I want to go to visit Sam.
Yeah, I have a nephew there. So anyway, that's the stuff from last week, and I got a couple more things to make. I haven't done my mailing this week, though, because I spent all week on this cane. And let me tell you why. It's one thing to just make cane, and it's always satisfying. I always love it. But to make cane that I can teach someone is kind of a different thing. And I always like to see where I can get the bugs out and where I can make it easier and more accessible so that everybody can do it and be, you know, get satisfaction from it and not end up with a bunch of scrap clay. So that's why I've spent the week doing this rather than making my gifts, because I really wanted to work it out. I've made this cane several times. I liked it every time. But every time I made it, I found a step that I could refine to make it more predictable for your outcome. And that means a lot to me. That's the most important thing to me. I can always make more cane later that I like. I want you to like it. I want you to be able to make it. So we're going to cut into this later. And thank you, Tracy. I love you, honey. Anyway, we're going to cut into this later and make it into a square. You can see we've already made it into triangles. We've already played around with it there. This can get a lot smaller and make some gorgeous beads. This is going to be square because I need to make a veneer with it. And when these side pieces start connecting together, we're really going to see a lot of the motion of this cane. Okay, so we're to 100 people, and those are, I think those are, you are my regulars, most of you. Thank you for coming. Don't forget you can catch the replay, and as I said before, you might have missed it, this is probably going to be about a 2-hour class because caning never takes less time than that. So let's start with our blends. You probably saw online when I posted my clay for today. This is a whole pack of black, and it's on a number 0 or 1. My machine here has a 0 thickest setting and then goes to 1. A lot of your machines go from 1 to 9, and a lot of them go in the reverse direction, with 9 being the thickest. So this is the thickest setting, and that's the main thing to know about it. And we're going to change this anyway to make our dots, the dots you see in the cane. So I have a slab just like it of white, and of course I did my white first and my black last, so that I wouldn't have to clean the machine so much. If you see a little something like this little tiny thing on there, don't cut it off. Don't do anything with it. It's never going to show. By the time we work over this cane to this scale and smaller, we're not going to notice this tiny dot of blue. So don't let that frustrate you, because I know it can. I want to talk to you about blends, first of all. This blend I haven't made yet because I want to show it to you. Okay? This blend is in here, and the final product I noticed just had a very small rim of blue. The yellow stands out okay. It's pretty green. I was wishing when I did it for the second or third time that I had included more blue, more really ultramarine blue, and a dot of plain yellow. Okay, so the way you do that is by how you lay it out. I want to show you a vivid example of that before we do that. And I am going to use my clay machine, so there will be a little bit of racket. This is the difference between an offset blend and a perfectly aligned blend. Now when I say that, when you lay out two triangles, the corners can meet and form a square, or the corners can extend beyond And that's where you get adjustments to your color saturation to your blend. So this one, I matched the corners up exactly, equal parts. So when I got done, I really had very little of my pink and very little of my yellow. I have orange and I have a kind of a, you know, a sunset pink down here, but I don't have as much of the pure colors. And sometimes that's exactly what you want. That's what you're going for. But other times, and we'll try this on this cane so that you can see the difference in the end result. Sometimes you want absolutely undiluted fuchsia, let's say. Maybe it's white, maybe it's black, but you want the real deal on one side with the color, the pure color from the bar on the other side. And when that's the case, you want to make it offset, and I'll show you that now. So let's say I'm going to make my blend, which I am. I've got these two things to work with. I'm not going to layer them up because this room, it doesn't have air conditioning, so we're not going to let them stick. If the room is cool, you can stack them right up and cut them at the same time, okay? But if the room is warm, you probably don't want to get them stuck together. You might not get them apart. If I were going to make a blend that didn't have any pure color at the edge, I would take my pieces and I would line them up with these corners exactly the same, okay? These corners would be exactly the same amounts. But if I want to make my piece with some pure blue and some pure yellow, I'm going to lay it out this way. So I'm going to make sure that when I start my blend, and you really see that when we put it in the machine, I'm going to make sure that when I start my blend, that it's offset. And that's what's going to allow you to have pure colors on each end. And I do like that. I do like to see the colors I selected. I want to see a little bit of that someplace, okay? So you're going to cut these tails off, all right? So you've got a tail here. I'll move this over. And I've got a tail here. That's how you know that you've offset the corners, because you've got corners to take off, okay? I'm going to even this up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially at the beginning, because I think you've all seen how crazy and wonky your Skinner blends go in the machine, right? They wiggle all around. Most of that is because your rollers aren't perfectly even. And as I've said many times on video and many times in person, these pasta machines were made for pasta, okay? They're not made at NASA. They're not to our exacting specifications. So sometimes they're a little tight on one side. I've got a modified machine, you know, where they take out the kind where you have these removable blades that you clean it with. They're fantastic, but they're really hard to, when you put those blades back on, to make sure your tension is exciting or is exactly as you expected, okay? So because the tension in your blades is not exact, you have a kind of a tight side and kind of a loose side. And that's why your blend is going to be higher on one side, higher on one side. So I'll show you how we deal with that a little bit. It's never going to be perfect, but there's ways. I bet some of you know because I showed you on video. How do you think we're going to deal with the fact that this, let me roll over it, that this blend is going to be higher on one side? Anybody know? I'll just wait nicely. Lena will tell me. Who knows? So you never have to worry about what side to put in the machine. Bunch of blue, yellow. Bunch of yellow, blue. It's got to be this side. You wouldn't be getting anywhere if you're just going to put this side in first. You might get someplace, but it's not going to be where you want to go, okay? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in. Does anybody know why you get a high side on your blend, or anybody guess?
Mine's not loading right now.
That's right. That's what you do, is you turn the clay around each time. That's right. You flip it. So it seems like obvious, but I don't know. It took me a while to think of it. I probably didn't think of it. Somebody probably told me. So I've got this, and I'm going to put it in this way, or I'm going to put it in this way. But what I'm not going to do is put it in this way, okay? Two colors need to be touching the rollers, and that way you won't forget about that, okay? As I used to forget about that. I'm going to put it in, so the machine's going to go on now. Cover your ears. Okay. Not much to see here yet, right? I always use a motor because my hands are kind of shot to hell. That's right, the clay is not the boss of us, honey. So a couple of you were telling me, I can't shout like that. A couple of you were telling me that you're super newbies. I'm going to show you this icky side, okay? Icky side is part of the thing. It's part of the thing. It's kind of like growing up. You know, you go through kind of a homely phase, and your blends are going to go through a homely phase, and this is kind of it. So don't worry about this. If you see this and you think, well, oh my God, I'm so screwed, my blend's terrible. That's not true. Your blend is fine. It's just, it looks kind of funny. And see how we got a low side already? So we'll start to flip that because one side is not squeezing out quite as much, okay? And we'll keep going. Now it's helpful to flatten that a little bit. It helps a little bit. We don't do a lot of trimming, okay? It's not the good time to do the trimming yet, okay? Starting to turn into something, huh? I can coax it a little bit. It doesn't do a lot of good. It's just part of the game of making a blend to have some of this, you know, weirdness go on, okay? Very interesting. Getting our teal going, okay? Our nice teal. So does anybody know when I'm going to stop this blend? Go ahead and guess. So we're almost there. Yeah, Frank, when I'm happy, but there's one more thing. There's one more factor for makes me crazy. It's right in my only good ear. Yes, when you're happy, it's a good time, Frankie, but what else do we need to make sure we've got when we're going to make a complex cane that we want to match up later? So if we want these to match up, what are we going to do about our blend? Melissa, you're right. I love a stripy look, but that's not it. Okay. I'll tell you the answer in just a minute. I'm going to stop. In some canes, maybe I'll let it be stripy because I do like striping. I'm going to stop when it's fairly even. If I've got yellow that's going over in this direction too much, if I've got blue that's going over in that direction too much, then when I make a fan fold or I make a jelly roll, how are those going to match up? You're going to go put those pieces together like these, okay? You're going to put your pieces together, and farther on down the cane, this one's going to have more yellow in it, it's going to have more pink in it, or it's not going to match anymore. So the only criteria for a cane like this is just to make sure we've got it pretty even. Toward that end, I could go one more time. It's very subtle, but you know, I'm staring right at it. It's right here. So on my last pass, in that direction, we're going to put it through the other direction, and I'll show you when. I'm going to be careful about my symmetry here. I will take off that little tiny bit of color, because it matters now. That's my yellow side. I'm going to make a nice clean cut here, because I'm really starting to think about my end product, and I'm going to save this for my Natashas. And I'm going to make this gradient, whether it's choppy, whether it's smooth, I'm going to make this gradient symmetrical color-wise. I'm going to make it even. So you see how that last pass rendered it even from this side to this side color-wise. I don't have to worry about it doing funky things to me down the line, okay? So I have my two gradients. I got this one, and I got, oh, I just pulled the corner off that. And I've got this one, okay? Before I put them in long ways, I'm going to cut them, because folding this up and making a strand that's I don't know how long is a complete pain in the butt. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to make my strips like this way, okay? And that way, when I put them down through their long ways, I don't have quite so much to wrangle, okay? So I'm going to fold this, and I've trimmed it so it's looking pretty even. I'm squeezing it toward the outside and make sure that it's not too bubbly in there. I'm going to put it through long ways. Now, I know a lot of people, oh, Mary, we'll talk about that. Remind me when we do Natasha's, and we'll talk about the seam, because I know what you mean. We're going to take this strip and we're going to put it in long ways. And some people take it all the way to the max thinness, but I just have too much frustration working with something that thin, so I'm going to take it down to about a 5. So 1. 2. 'See how long it is already on a 3? Can you imagine if we folded all that up, we tried to put it in there? Okay, we have to stand in the hall, okay? So you don't want to do that. Make it easy on yourself. Okay, so now I've got this strip. That's on a number 5. I went from the 3 to the 5 in case you were counting. I did. Okay. Before we do these, I'm going to go ahead and roll this up the way I want it, because it's going to take up a lot of space in this condition, and you know. So I'm going to take my thing. I did even it up. I'm big on evening everything up. You don't have to. It just makes me feel more in control of the shape of what I'm doing. I'm going to roll this one up with the light part on the inside. It's so big. Okay. And I'm making sure I don't have a hole in the middle, okay? The other day I kind of did have one. I was like, oh my God, how many times have I warned everybody not to have a freaking hole in the middle? You know, and then I had one. I squeezed it out of there, but it was touch and go there for a while. I thought, yeah, I want to make that blend over again. Swell. Okay, so you see how many nice colors we have? We have so many colors. We've got that yellowish, well, that yellow, and then we've got our greens, all different greens. And we've got our dark green and our teal here. It's so pretty, and anyone can do this. You know you can, right? Everybody out there, are you with me? What are they saying, Bookie?
They're saying they're learning so much.
Oh, well, good. You know, I never know what you're interested in. To this day, you think I should know that. Shouldn't I know that? I guess I should. But sometimes I'm like, oh, they don't care about that. They're not going to like it, you know. But as long as you like it, I always want to do it for you. Okay? So I'm going to make a nice clean cut on this edge, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to use this line later on for a cut that I'm going to make through this little thing here, okay? Okay. So I'm going to save this for later because it's pure color. And I want this line here. So sometimes, yeah, you're really careful. You're all worried about blending it. I'm not worried about blending it. I need the line there. It's going to be helpful to me at a little bit later point. So now I'm going to take my other one. I'm going to do the same thing, make a strip out of it. But I'm going to roll it in the opposite direction so that we end up with one that's blue on the outside and one that's yellow on the outside. And that'll be really easy to, you know, create things with in our design. So we're going to do that. Yes, I meant to fold it first, but I was talking and I wasn't thinking. But that's okay. You can fold it later. I just like to do everything the easy way. A lot of people do it like this, but I like to fold it, you know, before I have to put it in there. I don't really need trouble. Now I have a nice long one like I did before. And this time I'm going to start at the blue end. I'm going to put this over here to the side here so it doesn't stick to anything I've got. I have a big piece of a plastic lid over here. It's like the lid of a storage tub. And I'm using that for my staging area for my clay so that it doesn't stick anyplace, okay? And it's very sticky in here, so I'm going to get with this right now before it gets stuck to itself too much. Yeah, I heard somebody say they were glad that I don't go any smaller than a 5 or so. Really, I just don't, because I don't see any great advantage to it, and it's just a torture. I saw a lady doing it the other day, this beautiful cane, excellent teacher. She was really, there's nothing, I'm not putting her down, but that thing was so thin, it must have ripped about 6 times. And she's having to, you know, try to wrangle the thing in. It was just deadly hard. I just don't like to do hard stuff. It's supposed to be fun, right? And I'm not supposed to be torturing ourselves here. So this one's going together. I made sure I didn't have a hole in the middle of it. It's really hard to come back from that.
Mary was asking, what end results do you get if you fan fold or jelly roll?
Oh, well, if you fan fold, we're going to do one of those. If you fan fold, your color goes top to bottom. Okay, so let's say you have a little triangle or you have a stack. Your color is going to grade top to bottom. If you jelly roll, it's going to go inside to outside. Okay, I'll show you one. Looky. Let me just roll this up. I'll just show you one now. So you got jelly rolls, right? Let's take this spare piece we're using for an example.
One person was asking what you do with the raggedy edges.
Oh, nothing. Just tuck them in. They're going to get worked over when we reduce it. Yeah. You know, I don't condition my clay before I use it. I know that's a big sin. I'll probably go to clay hell. But with all this blending, you don't need to. And when you're going to make cane with it, oh my gosh, it's going to get so worked over. It'll get conditioned whether it really wants to or not. So with a fan fold, so if I were going to make a jelly roll with this, and I rolled this up, I'd have orange on the inside. If I was going to roll from this side, I'd have pink on the inside. But if I'm going to fan fold this, okay, we'll make a little triangle. We could put it in the cane if you want. It'll be like an extra, okay? So if I'm going to fan fold it, I'm going to have a color at the top and a color at the bottom. And that's really different looking, okay?
Nancy Halbert asked, did you start with 2 full bricks of color?
Yes. And I always make my canes with as much clay as I can. No, I don't mean 5 packs, but I mean the average person, you know, uses a half a pack of each color. I use a whole pack of each, or a little bit more if it's laying around, because I want to experiment with that cane and I want to make a lot of things. So maybe I'm going to make, you know, like those 2 things I showed you. And then I want a couple big slices, and I'm going to take my big slices and I'm going to fold this together and make a really cool dimensional bail out of it. And then I'm going to take the cane once it's square, and it's going to be this journal cover that I'm making for my friend. Look at this nice journal. That's going to be nice, huh? With like a little... So I'm going to want enough cane, especially if I've worked this hard on it, to make everything I want to make and to have seen it in every configuration. So I want to put my kaleidoscope together in all ways that's possible to put it together. You want to trim that? Yeah, I do, because I know you could just tuck it in, but it's going to be a little higher there if it's not even, and I'm all about symmetry, okay? So Mary Stoddard was saying, what's the difference between a fan fold and a jelly roll? So a fan fold is going to be top to bottom, and a jelly roll is going to be inside to outside. And it's a good question too, because we're going to make one now, because this cane has 2 of these and a fan fold. And that's why we cut it into 3 strips, okay? We're going to take our last piece. It's right here. So far all we've had to do is make a blend, cut it into 3 strips, make 2 jelly rolls, make 1 fan fold. All right? Okay. I want my fan fold to be about this width, so I'm not going to go like this time. But if you did, you're not going to hurt anything, okay? So with those 2, we went like this and put it through the machine this way. Make the strip, right? This one, I'm going to leave it a little bit wider because of the way I want to use it in the cane, okay? Okay. So there's our last strip of this color. And I'm going to trim it just a little bit. I'm going to save all my pure colors off to one side. And then I save all my little, you know, scrappies to one side. And they all have different uses for you later on. Now see, this is thin enough. It's a 5. It's thin enough to want to bubble a little bit and do things like that. So that's why you're always just trying to operate with this stuff on the thickest you can and still getting a nice look to it. Because, you know, the thinner it is, the harder it is. If this air conditioning situation is not resolved, I'll bet you money I'll end up having to start shooting lives at the house again. And that's not too bad for something like this. It's just clay. It's just when I'm trying to make something with you with 1,000 moving parts, you know, I'm always worried I've left something out, left something here that I should have, you know, shown you or brought home. Okay. If I really wanted this yellow to wrap all the way back, I would take a little cane bender. You need small rollers for stuff like this. And I would take it and I could smooth it out and make it be longer. But this is such a little piece that I'm just going to cut this part off. Okay. So I put mine like this. If you wanted a triangle, you could make it into a triangle. You could double it up. You can make a really short strip and make it be higher. But this is going to be used to wrap around other things and to make, you know, kind of accents around other things. And so that's why I'm making it like this today. So now I've got these. And if you're playing along, this is a good chance for you to catch up. Because now I got to make these. I would have made them in advance for you, but everybody said not to. I mean, maybe not you, maybe one person, but everybody said to go ahead and do it on camera and not leave it out like I often do. Yes, Diana, I'm making a PDF of this for you. Anyhow, that's why I'm doing it on camera today, because it was by popular demand. This corner fell off, poor thing. That's okay. So now I'm going to make the same thing I just made. I'm going to make in my pink and yellow blend. Okay. Okay. So I got one that was a little bit bigger. That was my fan fold, and I got these two that are my jelly rolls. I'm going to make these up. So if you guys are playing along, you can make your blend right now, or if you're at this point, you can make your jelly rolls. Okay. I guess we don't have to hear that all the time, do we, God? I'm not big on noise, but I'll tell you what, if you can get a motor, go ahead and do that. Because I've found that I make, well, there's no measuring, 1,000 times more blends than I did when I had to do it by hand. It's just so much of a more pleasant experience that, you know, it's really opened things up for me. And before I might have said, I don't know, that color looks fine the way it is. God forbid, you know, I should have to crank the handle anymore. But now having that motor really opens up your, you know, your willingness to blend, you know, stuff. So I do recommend it. So fold them in half first, like this. As it's really hard to fold them when they're skinny, okay? I've been jumping right to a 5, but it's not easy. I'm gonna go from a 3 to a 5, I think. What's going on out there, Buck? Go into it.
Got 170 people watching.
Oh, good. I'm glad you came today because I really, really, you know, I don't do stuff like this too often on lives because, you know, honestly, people's lives are busy and it's like, you know, I was going to make cane for a couple hours, right? So my pink is on the outside now, right? So I got to turn around here and make sure my yellow's on the outside this time. So just make sure that you sorry, that you check the one that you just made, because otherwise I might have made two exactly the same. It's not like I've never done that before. Okay, so I'm gonna roll this up. You know, if you ever have trouble rolling up, you get like starting your end. Some people make a little tiny hot dog, you know, like this little tiny roll, and they put it in the end to get it started. When I first started caning, I did that, and that thought was helpful. So you could do that if you want to, if you're worried about getting, you know, a hole or anything like that. What's going on out there, Steen?
They said, can't the guy who customizes the machines devise a silencer?
Oh my God, don't you wish, I mean, yeah. I kind of dread it, because, you know, I'll put my music on. I told you the other day I've been playing the same music every day since 1973. It's kind of a guilty pleasure, you know. I play Passion Play by Jethro Tull. And I like to play it because it's really vivid in my mind, this story that I've been working on since I was, 73, 18. It's got a whole story now to the music. So I don't have to be watching it like I would be with YouTube or something. I can have my eyes here and I can still watch my whole story because the music, you know, propels the narrative in my mind. Is that even? Okay. So, you know, I'm leaving my lines there so we can cut through those later on when we want to play around. And here's my last one. The only time we're going to need the machine after this is to flatten our black and white, and that's not so bad, okay? This corner doesn't want to stay on, but we have to insist because I want on my pink. It needs to stay on. Okay. And this one I'm not going to flatten out. I mean, I'm not going to fold because this is going to be my fan fold, okay? You see my machine's getting a little crusty. You know, I'm not going to take those, oh my gosh, I really should clean it, huh? I still have to do that white. That's going to be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to make it about the same size as this, you know, approximately. Cane, you're always changing it. I should have trimmed that off, but I think it's probably too late now because this clay's kind of like got a super glue thing going on. That's not too bad. There you go. So, gonna make my fan fold. How many of you guys have the, you know, the machines with the Monified? It's called Monified. Like, I know Ed paints them and stuff like that, but Mona Kissel is the one that's, you know, that modifies it for him. So they're both really geniuses, really. And Mona Kissel created a machine that you can easily clean. This is a case where I'm going to iron that out a little bit and use all my pink. Anyway, so she created a machine that you can easily clean. You just take the, you just unscrew a couple of screws and just take the blades right off and just wipe them off with a paper towel. It's like a freaking miracle. Okay, so I'm going to get everything I can out of my pink because it's so pretty. And I'm going to bring it back across and let that be a line. And as long as it's symmetrical, we can use the line in our design because I want to keep it there. I really like it. Okay, a little bubble, etc. Okay, so almost everything's made. So we can clean that up a little bit. We've got these nice accent pieces that can wrap around other things. And we've got our inside and outside jelly rolls of both of our colors that we've chosen, and those can be any colors, you guys. Well, I'm going to throw some light colored clay through here real quick. And I'm going to clean up the rollers like this, okay? Well, that's not too bad. So if you got some white and you don't want to stop and clean the machine, make sure you get all the way to the edges. Just throw in some white and you can clean the edges that way, okay? Which I just did. Okay. So this is going to be on a number 2. I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to make I'm just going to roll it up into a log. Anybody know why I'm going to use it like this rather than just rolling it up into a log? Anybody know that, Elena?
It takes them a second to answer.
There's no hurry. I'm going to do this one on number 3.
Like right now, they're still on this part right here.
Okay. Janet, you're correct. The white is definitely to wrap around and make stuff pop, and I might do that this time. I didn't last time, but I'll tell you why. If you want to take some clay, okay, and you want to make a nice log, and you go like this, okay? You'll find that our hands are not even things. Our hands aren't even. So we're always trying to make it symmetrical. We're trying to make it symmetrical. We want a nice, super, if you're going to make stuff like this, okay, and you want it to be even, these things, you know, they got to start out even at least, right? So making an even snake is just a little bit harder than we think. We push down a little too far and our hands are, you know, wavy. So to make a snake, I make a strip, okay? If you have an even strip, you have an even snake. It just makes life a little bit easier. The only better way to do this is with an extruder, and I just can't make myself set up and clean an extruder. I've got a fantastic extruder. I've got the LC Tools Check Extruder. If you like to extrude, oh my gosh, what a wonderful thing it is, but I don't really enjoy extruding. Okay, so when I get to the edge of this one, and I want an even log, I don't want any kind of lump out here. I don't want any kind of asymmetry to my log. So I'm going to make a nice, smooth bevel cut. So when I bring this back around, it's just going to disappear for me. And just settle right down in. So we made intentional lines here, didn't we? We just cut it off and let it be a line. But with our log that doesn't need a cut line, and it doesn't need a definition, we're making our line disappear as much as we can so that it's rounder without any asymmetry. Okay. I'm going to take my log, and while it's still big, I'm not going to reduce this and then try to wrap it. And I see that every day, and it's misery. So if I take this and go, okay, well, I want it to be 12 inches long, and then I try to wrap it in black, forget about it, okay? So you don't want to do that. You want to wrap it while it's still big. And I don't want to try to wrap this cane and cut off the ends later. That's just a big pain in your rear too, okay? So I want to have a nice strip of clay that's going to fit this thing that I'm wrapping. Now I'm going to make that 1 time thinner, I think. So, well, I'll just leave it. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to want this to be pretty close to the right size so I don't have to try to get in there and trim it off later. I'm going to want to start with a nice straight line on one end, okay, so that I can come back around and meet the line. Because this is a really, you'd think just a plain dot cane or dotted line cane like that one, you know, be super easy. It's plain canes like that that really can go bad on you, and they can look real wavy and stuff like that. So I'm going with a lot of straightness, a lot of accuracy on that. And then I'm going to roll it in. I was stuck with this number 5, by the way, or number 4, by the way, because it's just too warm in here to use a number 5. But if you were in a cool environment, you want a lighter line, that's up to you. So I've made my cut line there by rolling it over into the line.
How much of a white sheet did you use and what setting?
That was a whole package of white on a number 1. Number 2. I put it through at a number 2. The only reason I put it through at a number 2 was because it needed a little bit of smoothing. It had been sitting there, and I thought number 2 kind of will beat up on it a little bit more, which it did. Okay, so now I've got this without too much overhang, you know, that I have to cut off because, you know, we're going like this, and we're trying to get it clean, and we're wasting clay. Okay, so this is going to be greatly reduced. It's going to be reduced all the way down to this when we use it. And we may as well do that now. I'll show you how, okay? So we're going to need a whole bunch of this stuff. This is going to be a 3-inch cane, so we're going to work in 3-inch increments in width throughout. Even though we change the size of things as we go, you need a starting point of some description. You need some place to start working. So I build 3s, 6s, and 9s, and I find it's really helpful. And this is going to be a 3-inch cane, and that's why these are the sizes that they are, because they'll lend themselves to being reduced to 3 inches. Okay? Caning's a pain in the butt, huh? My daughter looks at me like, why do you do this? What is fun about this? So I have plenty of roll space there, so I'll just move these over and make a little spot. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take it down until it's too long to work with, and then I'm going to cut it in half and take it down some more. So I don't recommend you try to take this and make this super long hot dog out of it, super long, you know, thing. It's better to take this down for a ways, cut it in half, and reduce it from there. Okay? Oh, Joe, tell me why. I need to hear it. She says that now she knows why she wants to watch me cane. Oh my God. Some people are like, this is like watching paint dry. I told you, they called me the Mr. Rogers of clay because it's so boring and dull.
It's not boring. It's
relaxing. It's relaxing. The square stack, it's 2.5. Somebody asked me, it's about 2.5 by 2 1/4. I'll make it into a 3-inch when I get there. And all these will be 3 inches when we get there. So. Yeah, no, this one, see, here's my 2 inches, and I've got 2 1/4 there. Or no, that's a half, isn't it? Yeah. I've got 2 1/2 there, which we kind of need because we're going to extend it to 3 inches. And I think this one I kind of over trimmed. So now they're both 2 1/2. You know, don't worry about that. What's really, really cool is, thank you, Joe. I need that today. This is my 3rd time building this cane this week. And I liked it every time, but every time I made it, I thought, oh man, that would have been so much easier if I'd just done this, you know, this one little thing. If I made this step earlier, or if I had made this step later, or if I had made it smaller or bigger, that it would have been so much easier for somebody making it to make it. So that's why I kept trying it, because I liked it every time. I didn't want to slip any tricks in on you, like, oh, well, You know, oh, I did that off camera. Like in my videos, everybody kicks my butt because I'm like, okay, I went off camera and I reduced that and made it into an equilateral triangle, cut it 4 times, and now we're back.
Like on the cooking shows.
Yeah.
They're like, well,
Here it is.
Yeah.
It's all browned and fried and
Yeah.
everything. It's all beautiful.
Been flambéed.
Yeah, well, I am guilty of that because I just do worry about being dull and boring. I don't want to do that. Okay. So you can rub once you've got some reduction going as much as we have, and remember a minute ago, this is a little tiny fat thing. When you have this much reduction going, you can rub it on your work surface. Just don't put any pressure on it. I don't know if you ever guys have got the rattle of death. But the rattle of death is when you're going like that and all of a sudden it kind of sounds like, well, it is doing that because it's got a hole in the middle now. Somewhere along the line, you picked up some air. We put a little too much pressure on it. Maybe the inside texture, the inside consistency of the clay was a little too hard and the outside was too soft. Anyway, when you get the rattle of death, your log is kind of ruined, or your cane can be ruined. So just feel with your fingers that everything's okie dokie, all right? I did a lot at first, and now when I see people do this, I cringe. I'm like, oh no, what's gonna happen to them, you know? Okay. So when I get to the edge of my table, because I mean my work surface, I figure that's long enough because we've got to reduce it a lot more anyway. And as I said, you know, we're going for the hell that is this size, okay? Now, one thing you can do, yeah, the rattle of death, I know it's true. It's like blue screen of death. You're like, no! Anyway, this cane, the reason I made this for you is because I just couldn't look at another black and white stripe. I use them a lot, and I'll tell you why. This is kind of scientific. When you're putting little tiny elements into a cane, unless they're black and white, you kind of may as well forget it. I mean, maybe they're yellow dots or something, but most things are going to disappear and go to all this trouble. And got all this, you know, large and small things mixed together. The small things, by the time these are small, your trim or your accent or whatever you want to call this type of material is just so small that you can't see it anymore. It's super disappointing. So the reason that we all complex caners put black and white elements into a complex cane is because it looks really snazzy when you've got all that. Where'd those go? Okay, it looks really cool when you've got all this stuff dropped in there to break up the colors and everything, right? It looks really detailed and interesting, and no matter how small I go with this cane, which I'm going to today, you can still see it because it's black and white. Well, that's a concept I really like. The concept that I'm not so crazy about is that it always has to be a stripe. And that's why we're making this today, because you're going to be the only kid on your block that's putting these in your cane, okay, instead of just stripes. See? Okay. So, I've got this, and it's certainly big enough for this area. I'm going to get my blade and cut it. I don't really care where right now. And I've got to reduce it now down to that smaller size, and I will. It's getting warmer. That's one good thing about this warm environment. The clay is certainly not fighting me back. If you guys get bored with this or you don't want to do it, you can start reducing all these down to 3 inches, okay? So this is 1.5. There's about 1.5, maybe just over 1. You want to start taking your colored logs down. Look, squeeze them in the middle, okay? Squeeze them in the middle. Bringing it out toward the edge. You don't want them to suck in. Bulge is good. Suck is no. Better not to have that. Okay, so we don't care if they bulge a little bit. A lot of people tuck them back in. I don't know. I don't. I think it distorts them myself. Remember that Country Joe and the Fish song? Be the First Kid. Oh yeah, that was an anti-war song. Okay, so if you want to start doing that with your with your colored jelly rolls. You could do that also. Because maybe you don't want to make black and white today, okay? Oh yeah, it is an American saying. It's like if there be a commercial for a toy on TV, you know, like a hula hoop, something like that, they'd say, oh, be the first kid on your block to have it. Okay, you see how that end's flaring out a little bit? That's because that's got, you know, sucked in, just because we're just being kind of cavalier with it. It's not exactly like a complex element. So that's why it's like that, but it was not very much. So I'm really going for smallness, and I know with this amount of material and a 3-inch cane, I know I'm going to want smallness because I practiced and I know. So you're going to want your accent to not be taken over the whole thing. Even that little weird, you know, thing everybody says looks like teeth. It's a little overbearing, really, you know. So you want pretty small black and white in your cane. Oh, Donna, yeah, that's why I didn't say it. Donna Dillman, she knew the song I was talking about, and you know, I'm all joking around, but then I remember it was really depressing lyrics. Well, it was like Vietnam.
Right.
Be the first kid on your block to have your kid come home in a box. And I'm like, oh my God. It's not exactly like...
uplifting.
Right, it's not exactly happy clay chatter, for heaven's sakes. So let's see if we're getting close. Yeah, we're getting pretty close. Okay. Okay, and I want this fairly uniform, you know, like everything, because so that's my smallest part. And now I'm starting to refine this and make sure that it's all kind of that smallness, so that when I line it up, you know, to make this thing with, this little thing with, you know, they'll look the same. You know, look like, you know, like we know what we're doing here. I'll tell you what, one of the coolest borders you can make is polka dots. And this would make beautiful polka dot border. But the thing about that is, if you make polka dots, you have to put triangular fill between each and every one in order for it to maintain roundness. And I thought, well, they'll kill me. That'll be it. They'll never love me again. So we didn't do that today because I knew you didn't want to, you know, go extrude or hand form, something like that. So I'm going to cut this in 3-inch increments because we're all about the 3-inch action today, aren't we? So I'm going to cut these 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So see how I just didn't care too much about exactly what my length was and when, because, you know, we'll have plenty. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to start to put them together. Oh, that isn't very good. Let's see, what did I do there? 1, 2. I guess I'm going to need that piece after all. Anyway, there we go. We'll go back and they'll be like all short. Oh, wouldn't be the first time. Okay. Okay. Looking good. Okay. Yeah, they kind of all are. Okay. You know, I was trying to put the, you know, the other day, I was trying to put one of those hooks back on the shower curtain. And they have that design that faces outward.
Right, right.
I did it like 5 times. It was like this. I did it like 5 times, and I couldn't make the hook face the right way.
Oh, Mama, you have no idea how frustrated I've gotten with that kind of stuff because you know how I have my full bias?
Right.
One of them is touching stuff in the bathroom.
Anything in the bathroom?
Really, touching anything ever. But I don't like to touch the shower curtain and the shower curtain, you know, rings and rods and all that stuff.
Right,
and
right.
I don't want it to touch me all the time. And I'm like, get off me, get off me. So if I have to like fiddle with it too much, I start to get upset. And so if I have to fiddle with it too much and it doesn't even want to work, and it's something so simple like that, and I'm touching the gross shower curtain, you know, that freaks me out.
Right.
Then I really start to have a fit.
Because you can't get the hook on?
Yeah. So I wish there was like a hidden camera sometimes in my life.
Right,
just following me around because I'm always doing stuff like that and I'm spazzing out a little bit. Like, why is this so hard? Forget it. Like, you know.
Well, you know what I say. For the love of God. Yeah.
Like, what could
How
be?
much harder can this be? So we almost got enough of these. It's worth it. It's worth it. I see like about 10 people have dropped off. Dude, I don't blame you. They're like, I'm gonna go web surf and then I'm gonna come back when she's through those.
I'm gonna go do anything but
Anything
this.
but this. Yeah, I'll be really glad when she's through with that lame black thing. How boring can it be? Well, hey, what can I say?
A slushie and some popcorn.
You know, stuff isn't gonna make itself. Gotta do what we gotta do. Yeah, let's go down to the lobby. Let's go down to the lobby.
Wish we had a lobby here.
I know. I wish I had
So
popcorn.
snacky today.
You know, I want wine and popcorn for dinner. I bet I could have that.
I think that we could arrange that.
I'm telling you guys, Spikey makes the best popcorn.
He makes it like in a pot.
Well,
you can
hello,
do it
honey.
so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
I am a
just too
child
young.
of microwave packs.
Oh, she's
like,
she's too young. She doesn't know about that.
I'm like, a pot?
Yeah, he gets out oil in a pot. I'll even, like, if I know I'm gonna want popcorn later, I'll be sure that the pot is empty and clean. So when I ask for it, I won't feel so bad.
Yeah, the baby loves popcorn, so sometimes he'll get out the pot and he can make it in like 2 minutes flat, like faster than a microwave.
He's got his method.
And he puts it all in a baggie and here, take this for the baby.
Oh yeah, so cute.
So cute. She does love her popcorn. I get it from wherever we go, basically. I get her some kind of popcorn. She likes it a lot.
Well, you know, fiber and everything.
They have all of those good ones now. It's just got like a little bit of sea salt on it. It's not even any fat or
like a
anything.
whole cube of butter on mine. It's not really that helpful.
Hers is not fattening. Like she likes the simple things.
I went ahead and cut that piece off there. Oh, can you give us an approximate of the diameter of that white and black? Oh, before I rolled it out, or let's see, I could tell you what it is after. It's about 1/8 of an inch. Oh, I got a 1/4 inch cane bender. It's a 1/4 inch. It's about it's about that big as the cane bender. So it's like about a 1/4 inch. Doesn't matter. We're gonna mash it up pretty good in a minute here. We're going to put it through the clay machine, the pasta machine. Anyway, the reason I'm stopping and putting these on here is I just don't have a lot of space. But I still have to reduce it some more, just a little bit more to make it all uniform.
Oh, they wanted to know if there's trivia today, so you probably got to tell them what you're doing instead.
Okay, you girls and guys are going to be pretty upset with me. But we're not playing trivia because I have a challenge for you today. Personally,
it's gonna make you work.
Gonna make you work. Everybody who posts a cane by Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time goes in the fishbowl of destiny. Does it have to be this cane? Nay. Does it have to be super complex crazy? No. I want you to take a thing that you learned today or that you enjoyed today, even if you already knew it. And I would like you to make a cane. Now, if you want to, it can be one of these that you're going to use later. Okay? Oh, look. Colleen said yes.
Challenge accepted.
So I want you to make a cane because I am not really getting to see your work to the degree I would like to see it. I'm not getting that. I know that you do make things all the time and they're beautiful and I see them every day. But honestly, I'm very jelly of Christy because Christy's class people all make the project and they post pictures of it. See how that's all like all flared out? That's crap. Okay, anyway, we don't love it anymore.
Poor thing.
Poor thing. Anyway.
Those remind me of those little candy cigarettes that we used to get when I was a kid. Remember they had like the fake smoke? That would
the sugar, powdered sugar.
Probably contained asbestos or something.
No, it's with powdered sugar. Did you guys have candy cigarettes? Oh my gosh.
They were the worst candy. They had the bubblegum ones and then they had the crappiest candy ones. They were like, they were all kind of just skinny and kind of wiggly, like not even straight, and then just crappily put pink at the end.
Good. So we're close
white.
to 3x3, which we were shooting for 3x3, okay? So this is 3 inches, so I lucked out there. Yesterday it wasn't as good. And this is 2 3/4. That's okay. There's going to go through the pasta machine. Okay. Yeah, you know, and what kind of parent am I buying candy cigarettes and here kids, smoke up.
We used to buy them from the ice cream man and from the Ben Franklin.
But I let you have them.
Well, all parents did, but the gum cigarettes were much better than the candy cigarettes.
Yeah, but they didn't make the fake smoke.
Some of them did, and they had they were like different flavors, and at least the candy cigarettes. Oh man, they were the worst.
Okay, you want to be sure when you're doing your accurate cane, okay? Everything in this cane is more forgiving than this one little element. Just believe me when I tell you. So when we're making this cane, we're going to make sure it's really straight. So I'm looking at the lines on my work surface. I'm really making a point of rolling it out evenly, because if I roll it out unevenly and then I throw it into the pasta machine, see, it's going to kind of squeeze out unevenly. So I want this, I know I keep showing this, but some people are dropping in. I want this element to be really exact, okay? Oh yeah, you know, Janet says she'd like that chewing tobacco candy.
Oh yeah, Big League Chew.
Big League Chew.
I love Big League Chew. They still have Big League Chew.
They still have that. I know. It's like, here, kids.
And I think but people don't know nowadays that it's supposed to be the pouch that you cut you. Because you know they don't have that cans now.
Because now it's all like the pinch, the pouches, yeah.
But when we were kids, it was supposed to be like the pouch that they had at the baseball games.
Right.
That, you know.
Oh, my parents let my brother chew tobacco when he played baseball. You know how my parents were. Here.
Oh yeah.
Game's over. Let's have a beer.
Somebody's talking about the candy lipstick. I forgot about
those.
The
candy lipstick. Hey, how about the
those.
How about the big wax lips?
Oh yeah, those were funny.
Oh, those were so funny.
You know that store of Five Below?
Oh yeah.
They still have all those candies.
Oh sweet.
Like, you can get all of the nostalgic candies.
Okay, so here's your last element. And this is going to be all kinds of neat stuff we're going to do with this. You're going to like this a lot. So I'm going to pick it up. It's sticking together pretty well. If you ever have any doubt on one of these, you have any problems, in fact, I'm going to roll over this side too because I'm asking for it with these grooves in here. But anyway, you can always put a thin sheet of black or any color over it. I think it'd be fascinating to put a color over it. I don't know why I don't. I can today if you want me to. Guys want me to do it. It'll change it a little bit, but it might be kind of interesting, huh?
Yes.
What do you think? Should I put a color over this? I didn't do it in the example, but
I like this color.
We can do whatever. We can't change the colors, though.
Oh. They
got to be one that's already in here, I think.
I thought these were... Oh, no, they're not.
Oh, but that, goes with it, huh?
Yeah, I thought they were.
Yeah, the wasabi kind of goes with it.
Wasabi.
Wasabi. So I'm going like this because I want it to be super accurate before I drop it into the clay machine. Because, we don't want to go through all this and then turn it into, mincemeat, okay? So we got this guy. And it's really stuck together. You don't want him falling apart on you right now. And you don't want to go in this direction.
They want a color on it.
Oh, you want a color on it?
They're going him over the color.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, we'll do it. Anyway, you don't want to...
Yes, do it. Do it. Yes.
Okay, we'll do it. If I put this in with the black touching the rollers, just throw it in the trash can and go start crying and have a drink, okay? Because you're going to ruin it. Do not ruin it. You need to... I did it before. I just couldn't believe it. I went through all this and then I ruined it. So don't, okay? This way, this way, this way. Only this way. No other way. So I'm going to put this in there now. Oh, on the thickest setting you got. And voila-ski, we've got our really cool looking dotted line cane, see? And you will be the first kid on your block. I've never seen this around. I'm seeing stripes, stripes, stripes. We don't have to have stripes because clay is not the boss of us, okay? Okay, it says, just a warning, if your grown-up son gives you a gummy candy, don't just pop the whole thing in your mouth. Oh my God.
What was it? Oh.
I bet it was marijuana.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was probably the wacky tobacco.
The wacky tobacco.
The devil's lettuce.
Oh my gosh. Well, I got those one night when for insomnia, and somebody says, here, I have these gummy things for insomnia. And I took them. I didn't go to sleep at all. And they said that they took them and they were out of their mind. And I'm like, well, thanks for giving me that. Anyway, but it didn't make me go sleep.
Yeah.
So now I got this. So it's just wonderful now. We have everything we need. So I'm going to take this out to 3 inches so we can start to build our cane. Aren't you glad? Oh my God, the torture. We're going to start building our cane. And this is so much easier than you think. It's just ridiculous. So let's take this out to 3 inches. I don't want to put it through the pasta machine because I don't need it thinned out that much. I just want it to be 3 inches long right now. I'm going to use it for kind of a base to lay everything out on today. This will be different from the other cane, but I already made that cane twice. I don't want to make that one again today. And I am going to trim it because I don't want any funky things happening with these sides that don't match later on when we go to line it up. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm seeing some really nice clean stack here. Okay, so let's lay it here. We're not worried about the width, we're worried about the length because the cane's 3 inches long going in this direction. So I'm going to just make this stretch out a little bit more. So it will do that.
How thick is it, the fan fold?
Oh gosh, it's
pretty.
pretty.
And what happened to adding the color?
Oh, you want me to add the color? Ooh, maybe we should. No, that would be too crazy, huh? I was gonna say maybe we should add one of these on it, but you know, it would really get small.
That'd be a lot.
Well, what color do we have the least of? It's still the blue, huh? It's still the blue. Because I have the least of blue. Is that too dark?
Yes.
Well, okay, then you want it to be the yellow. All we have to choose from is blue, yellow, or pink, because I don't have
pink or green.
Well, there isn't any green. That's formed by the blend.
I'm just talking about wasabi.
Oh, you want the wasabi. All right, what do you girls think? Lena wants this. Okay. You like it? Do you like the wasabi? Oh, how thick is the fan fold? Oh gosh, it's thin as heck. When you get it to 3 inches, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm paying attention. I'm sorry. When you get it to 3 inches, it's the right thickness. Because I'm telling you, when you're rolling it up and you're going through all these steps, I don't know exactly how it's going to end up, but it's going to look really good in there. Okay, so Gail says wasabi, yeah. Bonnie says okay. 2 votes
for pink.
Okay.
3 votes for pink.
Oh.
Fuchsia. Okay, so I guess we're doing pink.
You're wanting the pink. Okay. All right. All right.
Some people are still saying the wasabi, but...
Well, how about we put one on each side?
Yeah, do it.
That? Won't that be fun? Yeah, and with your caning, honestly,
wasabi.
Like we're crazy girls, but with your caning, really do whatever you want. When you get an idea, do it. 9 times out of 10, you'd be glad. Isn't it funny how making a simple rectangular wrap can eat up your day? But that's the way it is. It's just the way it is. So I've got that on number 3. And we're going to throw that into our cane just because we can. Well, you know who says that? Susan Bailey. She's such a crack up. She'll say, I'm going to do it because I can. And I think, good for you. Yes, you can. Turtle Soup Beads. She's really talented. I enjoy her stuff so much. Okay. So that's on there. I'm going to roll it a little bit because it's going to want to rip up off of there when I pick it up, okay? I'm going to try to coax it a little, warm up a little bit. So green on the outside? Okay, let's do it. Because we can do anything we want because the clay...
It's got like a piece of blue on the back of it.
That's okay. Machine's getting pretty dirty. But that's okay. We'll make it through the day. Almost there. Is it big enough yet? Almost. Let's see, do we make it? Woohoo! Okay.
It's gonna be awesome.
I think so. Okay, let's see if we like it. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. How fun. Okay, so now let's build our cane. Did everybody reduce their jelly rolls down to 3 inches? Anybody? Anybody? Okay.
They like the colors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be really pretty in there. You can't have too much wasabi, not in my book.
I know, I really like it. I really wanted to put it in there.
So can this go smaller? Yeah, if you want. It can go thinner and smaller if you want. We're just going to leave this like this today because we don't need to be listening to this machine until we want to cry. And I'm going to leave out the little teethy thing, the little that little thing right there, because I'm not crazy about it. Plus, I don't want to do it right now. So now we've got this, and we're going to start building on these. So let me just wipe this off. It's getting a little grungy over here. We don't have any more machine stuff to do. Thanks be to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take my 3-inch long little base thing, and I'm going to start to build my cane. And this is the part, this is the hardest part in the class, because in the classes, this is when I'm going to say to you, how do you want your cane? People think, well, you're the teacher. Well, yeah, I'm the teacher, but how do we want our cane to look? Would we like a big stack of stuff someplace? Would we like all the colors to be alternating? I don't know. And that's the part where you get to really express yourself and make this start looking the way you want it to look. So you can see that when I first started this cane, okay? Well, you can see when I first started it. That's right, Judy. It's not the boss of us. I started with a piece down here, and I wrapped some of my stripe around it. And I let it end there, and then bent it upward and put another piece that I really wanted to see there. Now I've got the other strip, which in this case was this one, and I put that strip over the top of that. This is like a puzzle. So when you start working with your canes, you start to puzzle them together. Don't press too hard. Just try some things together to see if it's pretty. And I wish that it was more scientific than that and I could give you a formula, but it's not, because what happens is once you've got your soft shape and you make it into your firm shape and you start to reduce and recombine it, that's where you're thinking about, what do my sides look like? How would this side look with a side just like it? And that's what makes you do these kind of things. I knew this was the obvious end result of a cane like this, the radial configuration. But when I looked at it a different way, and I started thinking about how would these look coming out of the corners, that's where all the fun and happiness is. That's where all the joy of caning is. So that's why I don't say, you've got to put it here, you've got to put it there. You've got to play with it and put it where you want to put it, okay? So this time, I did it differently last time, and this time I'm going to lay this down like kind of a base. My length, we're going end to end in a 3-inch cane, okay? So whatever I put on here and around here is going to go 3 inches from this way to this way, not this way. We can go however we want with that side, okay? And I'm going to take one of my jelly rolls, and I'm going to take it to 3 inches, because whatever I lay down here, I want to fit on top of this, because that's how I'm using it today. Tomorrow might be different, but that's what we're going to do. Choose a thing and you do it. You'll never be sorry. Okay, so I want 3 good inches. I don't want 3 including ends. I want 3 excluding ends. I'm going to take and make a nice clean cut where my cane is good. If I cut in the wrong spot, or at least I cut it and I don't cut enough off, I don't want this sticking out the end of my cane, because I'll have to cut all that off. So that's what I'm saying when I would talk about good inches. If I put a crummy inch right here, all this is going to be cut off, and that's a shame. So that's why we're going to take our measurements in good inches, usable, clean inches, okay? Okay, so I'm going to cut this end off too. I've got my usable clean inches, and now I'm going to cut down the middle of this one, okay? So I'm going to make sure it's pretty symmetrical. And this is important. This element's going to run all the way through your cane. If it's cut wonky, it's going to be fatter down at this end, and when we go to try to put it together, it's not going to want to go together, okay? So if you want to take a tool, I like these little tiny square guys. Take a tool or a piece of wire, something like that. Make yourself a nice, clean cut line, okay? And feel confident that you're getting a nice, clean cut. And this isn't the end of the world if you don't, but you'll like it that way, okay? Now I have these, and so pretty. And my first decision is, do I want them up or do I want them down? Well, I'm going to do it both ways with this cane, okay? So I'm going to lay one right here, close to the edge, okay? Now I'm going to take another one, create another component for myself. Does this have to stay in a half circle? No, it can be any way that you want it to be. So we're not going to worry about anything like that, okay? So we take it to 3 inches, keeping that line straight, the line that we made for ourselves to make it easier to cut. It's a lot easier to see on these colors, isn't it? So I need my 3 good inches again. And I'm going to cut off the excess. In this case, it's kind of far in there. Make sure it's pretty clean. That'll be the end of a cane. We don't care about that too much. Okay, take it out a little bit more. Okay, now these, if I wanted to make this 4 times as long and much skinnier, I can do that. But I'm not going to do it before I cut a piece off first, because I want variation in my cane. So if I made this whole piece skinny, it's not going to get big again, right? So I can take this cane and I can cut a piece of this off and make it a skinny piece afterwards. So I'm going to cut this right where that seam is, and I'm going to make a clean line like I did before. Bring this over so I can see on top of it. You got your yellow part to help you out too, which is nice. I'm going to make sure I've got 3 good inches before I start messing around with it. And I'm going to cut this in half. Okay. Now I don't want everything to look the same, so I'm going to put a bend into this one. And my bend has to be symmetrical too. So if I bend this and it's unfortunately, you know, crooked, that line's going to be crooked through here. It's going to make it hard to match up. So I'm going to take my tool. I'm choosing one side of this to bend down because I just want to wrap this. It doesn't need to be a really big deal. I just need a little indentation. Make sure it's fairly symmetrical. There we go. That's a lot better looking. And I'm going to wrap this piece around here. Now, do you want to place yours here? You don't have to. But what you do want to do is make sure that it's straight. So I want to see this blue line. I'll pick it up for you. It seems more complicated than it is. When you're doing it, it's not. See that blue line right there? I want that to be pretty straight, okay? Because I want all my lines to be straight at this point, so that when I end up cutting this cane, you know, it'll make some sense to it. So I've formed this little hoopty thing, and that's kind of what I want right here, because I want to start putting my stripe in. I don't recommend that you put your stripe on the outside of this, because this is going to take a lot of reduction and a lot of pressure when we make it into a triangle, and it's going to really smash the whole holy bejesus out of your, that's a technical term, holy bejesus, out of your stripe. So I'm going to find a good spot in this cane to put my stripe that's going to be within the cane, and it doesn't get so beat up that way, okay? Oh, where's my stripe? Ooh. That pink has been fighting me since yesterday. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's my stuff. It needs to be showing on the cane on this side, right? We can't put it this way, okay? It'll be gone. It's going to be showing on the cane on this side. And I'm going to see where I want it. Now it's pink to pink, so now that we're using color, we have even more choice, huh? That's green to pink and yellow. I like that. Okay, so I think I'm really going to like that, and we're going to bend that to conform. I'm going to make a cut line here to make sure that I don't waste any of this, because I'm going to need it for the rest of the cane. Okay. Now you can or can't, doesn't matter, but I really want to make an even bevel on this edge. It really looks cool. So you want to make sure your bevel's kind of clean. And you can do it by pinching, or you can slice it in a bevel. But I just want to show you that, because when I tuck this in to a section, I don't want there to be too much of a hump there, okay? I want it to kind of tuck in. Now, when I said this is an easy cane anybody can make, what I'm saying is that how you lay out these pieces, it's going to be beautiful, however you choose to lay them out. So it's not like, oh no, I should have put that there, or I didn't, she put it there, I got to put it there. You don't have to do any of these things the way I'm doing them. Makes zero, you know, zero difference. It's going to have to be the way you want it, the way you think it's really pretty. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I don't have any gaps here. I'm going to start building up toward this side now with my other canes. So I've still got this one, and this one, and this one, and this one I haven't even used yet. Well, that's a lot. It's a lot of cane. And that's the reason that I make them so big. This is, if you want to, you can start putting some of those colors in that box over there. Because I don't have any more space. Once you get done there, just can sit on the hearth if you want to pull your chair up. But those all need to go in. One day I'll show you guys how I store my open clay. I have one of those chest of drawers, those little inexpensive ones from Walmart. And I just store it by color in the Roy G. Biv configuration that my stepdad taught me. Everybody know what Roy G. Biv is, I'll bet. I didn't. I would think I was the last one in the world that didn't know what that meant.
They actually teach it on Sesame Street.
Oh, well, I should have watched it, because I was like, I could never remember until he taught me that, and I've used it every day since then. It was really a good one. Okay. So now I could use a whole piece, but when you do, you have dots. And when you have dots, everybody sees eyes. And that drives me crazy because I'm not trying to make eyes. So I'm going to change the shape of this piece a little bit. And I'm going to make a channel to drop one of these in. I think that'd just be super pretty. So I'm going to make sure I've got my 3 good inches, and I'm going to trim it before I drop it in there, right? And we're doing that because... Oh, I guess I should use the sharp side. I like to do that at least once a day just to remind myself not to do it once a day. Okay, so we're going to have 3 good ends because these are really good ends. We're not going to put some bad ends in there, okay? Because when you do that, then you have a lot more wastage. Sample of carbon-based wastage. This is going to get a little bit longer when I sink this rod into it. Okay. Oh, Jane Evans, Roy G. Biv. It's the rainbow.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
Yep. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue. And I never knew. You know, I was like always having to guess what that was and always getting it really messed up and stuff. So I'm going to make an even indentation, and I think I'll pull one side down so it won't be too U-shaped. I kind of like it when they look more kind of teardroppy on one side, but you can make yours however you want, of course. And I want to make a groove just big enough to put that pretty piece in there. Actually, I should get this one ready, huh? You know, because that way we have more variety. I did do that with the other one. I was using them kind of in an alternating way. When you make an indentation in one of your pieces, see how there's a little bit of a wave there? You want to make sure that you straighten that line before you put it back together, okay?
Hazel.
What?
Hazel Parsons in the UK for rainbow colors. We use the phrase Richard of York gained battles in vain.
Well, my goodness.
Like, of course, you guys have some.
It's so very British.
Richard of York gained battles in vain. Wasn't everyone?
I love it. I love it.
So go to bed, old man.
Okay, so, oh my God, that's so great. Oh man, so I'm making this teardrop just by, you know, making a channel in there and pinching it down on one side. And whenever you do that, be sure that you line up your one side, okay, and that your line is straight on the other side. That's all you got to do, because like I keep saying, we got to cut this thing up one day. So if the pieces are even, you know, it makes such a big difference in your kaleidoscopes and stuff like that, okay? Okay, so I'm going to take some of this because I think we're just about overdue, aren't we, for some of this. That's going to be a big old blue and green piece, so we'll have to make sure we offset that with some other kind of detail in there, right? Now remember, you could make these twice as small, right? You could, you know, you can always use squares to make indentations, and that way you're going to have all kinds of zigzags and all kinds of angular motifs. I'm big on soft elliptical shapes. The teardrops, ellipses, I make them over and over again. Half rounds. It's because it's just something I like to see. But I've made some more angular canes, and they really were fun, and they really were interesting to see. Okay. Now I'm going to take this and get 3 good inches, and then I'm going to leave it big too, because if I have everything cut in half, except this one great big teardrop, I think I'm going to be really sorry about that. Okay. I'm going to smash this into a half round, but leave it whole. So instead of cutting it in half, making a half round, I'll get this, you know, this pretty shape here with the color on the inside, because that's really pretty. And as I said before, with regard to your shapes, okay, lay it on a grid surface and make it match. Okay, so this side needs to go to that line, let's say. Let's say that's the size I'm making it, because I am. And this side is on this line. Well, as long as I'm staying within those lines, I know I'm going to have an even piece end to end. And the evenness is just the only secret. There's only one secret, and that's it. Well, there's 2. There's contrast. There's contrast and evenness. I built a cane recently that doesn't have enough contrast, again, for the 100th time. Because every so often I get off the rails and I want to try something, and I don't know, I should just stay on the rails. But anyway, if you don't have enough contrast, all this work is for naught. So there's 2 things to remember. So now I've got a nice even piece of this shape, which I really like. And it's going to be so pretty right here. And so pretty right here under this, okay? I'm going to trim that. I'm going to trim it beforehand so I don't have to start cutting into that cane so soon, okay? That went beyond 3 inches because I smashed it down, and that's going to happen a lot. Okay, I don't want this blue on blue here, so I'm going to start introducing this other piece. Okay. It needs to go out to 3 inches because, as you know, it's going to run along this edge here. Okay. And the place it's going to show is going to be the front. Okay. So I want to make sure it's got the right length to it. I like this one because it's all pink. This one kind of has a transition. I don't think it's going to serve this cane. Hey, if you ever have stuff you don't want to use, don't use it. Set it aside because you're going to have it all ready for the next time, right? Okay. I'm going to bevel cut this one this way. I'm going to make sure it's fairly even in thickness because I'm going to drop it right down in that little void right down, right in here. It's going to be so cool. And I'll be able to divide it with this thing. Okay. One more of these. That's too small. Let's bring this one in. I don't want to go too small on that because it'll make this stand out a little bit too much. Okay, I'm going to fold that over. I'm starting to like the stack, which is what you're making. You're just making a stack. Make sure this is smooth. If you fold this over here now, it's going to get going to have a big gap in there. So we don't want to do that, okay? Make sure that's not going to crack out too much. That pink has been a stinker since day one, so we're not going to give it a chance to really get us. I'm going to take it the way we can get it here. There we go. Good. Okay. Yeah. If you see that, just don't flex it too much anymore. There you go. Okay. So I've got my yellow underneath this stripe. I've got my blue. I'm going to smooth this down. I think we're ready for a little bit more of this one. Okay. And lucky for us, we've got this nice piece left. And I'm going to roll down one side so that it'll be more conforming to what the area that I have to fill. When you make these cuts, these bevel cuts, your main concern is that all the colors are showing semi-evenly there on the edge, okay? So you don't get any surprises later on. Okay. This will fit really nicely over this edge. Okay, I'm going to be sure I bring this and maybe even this in there, because as you know, I didn't want any of this on the very edge. I really don't, because it gets over reduced, those stripes get over reduced. So here's where we're at so far. Okay. Oh, why is the pink a stinker? It's been really dry. My fuchsia's been really dry throughout this whole, even yesterday, and even in this warm room. My pink's been staying, you know, raggedy on the edge. So the way it's folded over that edge right there, it kind of wants to crack out, and I don't want it out there anyway, so I just cut it before it had a chance to, you know, really kick me in the head there. Okay. Okay. So we're doing great. We've got all this ready already. I'm going to put this piece on this edge here to protect that stripe. And I'm going to cut this part off because I'm not crazy about the way that pink overlaps. You know, if you had it in there, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's kind of different. It doesn't have much uniformity to it. So I'm going to soften that corner also. All right. Start to bring this together a little bit more. And that's going to be great. Okay.
Can you show the side?
Yes, I will right now. So I just cut a preliminary slice. That's a really straight line right there, which I know I'll never be happy with, so I'm going to alter that line. Other than that, we're doing great. So the way you alter a line like this is the familiar sinking of the rod. It's a little bit too big. That's the same size. If you find your spot that's exactly the same spot in each side, in this case, it's right where that line comes down. See there? Right where that line comes down. I'm going to create a wave down here. And that way, I don't have that big straight line, which I know I'm never going to like. Okay? I'm going to bring this bottom part in because it's looking really good, and I love the line of it. I love the colors, the way they're lined up there. And start pinching this side in too. Now you can do this at any point in your cane. You could have done it 5 elements ago if you wanted to. And I want you to always remember that you're never stuck with anything. If you see something that you want to do or change, I almost always do. Because I can tell right away when I make that first cut, if there's something glaring at me, if I don't like it right now, I'm never going to like it. Okay. So we're going to see a big difference. Oh, I'm so lucky it's this one too, because it won't stand out like a sore thumb. We're going to see a big difference when we end up putting this together, okay? So we have something to see in that line, and it doesn't just jump out at us and just be a line forever. Being all liney and stuff.
Straight, linear.
Okay. And that's awesome. So now I'm going to take this cane and I could reduce it a bunch more, but I'm going to put it together roughly so that you can see how to make the square cane and all that stuff, and the time won't be too bad. What's the time like, Bookie?
It's been like almost an hour and a half.
Okay, that's perfect because we need about that much time to finish up what we're going to do. So I've already got this left too, which is really neat. I don't think it's going to go in this one today. Okay. I didn't make my stripe as large last time. And so I ended up using it all up, but we have a lot this time. Okay. So you've got your 3-inch cane pretty much to the letter here. Okay. Okay. And make sure it's really together. And I'm going to cut it straight down the middle. And I usually make some marks. And the cuts are never perfect anyway, so I trim it afterwards. Okay. So I've got these pieces to go together, okay? And it's nice. It's kind of got a, I don't know, it kind of gave us a little bit of an evil eye look, sort of, didn't it? Now you'd think that I would put this stripe at the top of my triangle, but I can't really do that because, as I said, these stripes can really, really get distorted and disappear on you. So I'm going to smooth this out a little bit to take care of those voids there, and I'm going to make my point at the top, okay? So let's smooth this out and make sure that we don't end up with any problems or voids. You can put something in there if you want to. It's a little bit dicey though, because sometimes you'll, like one of these I did, like, see that little pop of white in there? It really looked good in the cane, I think, but it wasn't intentional. That little pop of white was to fill a void that I could not get to close when I cut the cane. So, you know, it's just good to know that, you know, you got lots of little tricks you can do. You're not stuck with anything. But I'm going to be really sure this is flat because I didn't really plan for anything in those two creases. So let's not have to do that when we don't really want to. So I'm going to get this mashed down a little bit. Keeping my line straight now. I'm not going to let it get too wonky because it's got to go together and it's got to, you know, it's got to match up. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Yeah, I think that's going to work. That's going to work, okay? So I've got this little cut. It's just a really tiny variation, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And, you know, like I said, it makes beautiful Natasha's. It's just a little piece, but the reason I'm going to do that is this is kind of an accurate cane, and I don't want to chance matching it up wrong on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and open the back a little bit and make sure that it's as good as it can be. Okay. Okay. So how are you guys doing for tiredness? Would you like to move to the other cane so I can show you how to make it square and stuff? Or do you want me to make this into a triangle for you? I will if you like. Let me think about it for a minute, okay? And let me know. See, there's a spot where you could put like an accent if you wanted to, but I'm going to try to close it up. Because like I said, I don't want any surprises. Of course, you know, you could take some of this, you could put it in there if you want to. I'm just going to bring that seam together. So, you know, it'll look just as good. Be less work right now. So what are they saying? Let's see.
Make a triangle, please, as one person said.
Okay, somebody wants the triangle. Okay, it's okay. It's nice and soft. Let me talk.
Triangle, then square.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're going to make a triangle of this, but we're going to make square out of this. Okay, Lucky. I don't want to take this down all the way today, so I'll make it into a triangle, and then we'll make this into a square, okay? And that way you get to see it, okay? Okay. Okay. So if you're going to make this into a triangle, you're going to pick your side, because one side's going to be flattened and one side's going to be pointy. And don't try to push in the part that's going to push out, because when you make this into a triangle, It's going to have some squeeze is what I call it. And you can't push the squeeze back in. It's got to go someplace because you're changing its shape, right? Okay, yeah, somebody, they want the triangle, so you can have that. Okay, yeah, we'll make a triangle and then we'll make a square from this one because this one won't be ready to cut that way. But speaking of resting canes, which I was, can you, when you get a chance, can you start to, it's going to be a humongous undertaking. Anyway, we're going to start to force this inward and we're deciding what side we want our point to be. I specifically don't want this to be the point because by the time we squeeze this in, not only do I not want to peak on that, it's going to narrow down your stripe that you so carefully built, okay? So I want to make my peak right over here. I've got plenty of stuff to deal to disguise it, plenty of stuff to make it still accurate without having to just really make that one continuous line be wavy. I've got a broken line here and it's going to look a lot better. But you'll get what I'm talking about. So now I'm going to start to go in, and down. And the cool thing about this is I don't know if this will ever be a hexagon because as I told you, I work in squares. So if this gets really wide across the bottom, I don't have a problem with that because squares that are wide across the bottom are much easier to make into, triangles that are wide on the bottom are much easier to make into squares than tall triangles are, okay? So I'm bringing this in and bringing this down. And this is kind of another reason I build them big. It takes a lot of clay to completely change the shape of something and have it still look like anything. And yeah, you do sacrifice some of it too. So I'm keeping an eye on this. As I bring it down, I'm not going to want it to go way down on one side or anything like that. I'm wanting it to stay in this shape. What's really cool is if you want to, you can fudge it and make a small cane and make a peak on top of there. But when I do that, I can always tell. Well, of course I can tell because I did it, but you know what I mean? You can take another cane and you can make a point on the top and it saves you lots of wear and tear in your hands, but that was not the plan for this one. It's going to be this way. So I'm taking a look. I'm making sure that even though this is bulging out, I'm not pushing it back in. Okay, it's got to go someplace. We got to let it go out. Okay. Pushing this down. Oh, that's the thing I keep almost telling you. I do not rest canes before reducing them. I don't know where that idea started. It's a bad idea. Unless you've been building a cane for days and the clay is at a lot of different temperatures or whatever. If you're building a cane and it's going to take one day, you need to bite the bullet and reduce it while it's warm like this. This is almost the same temperature throughout. It's only been a couple hours. If I get up tomorrow morning and that paint clay, which has been hard all week, that paint clay has become hard again, then it's going to change, the whole nature of my cane reduction. It's going to make it much harder. So when it comes to cane resting, I don't. You do rest it before you cut it, and that's key. Super important. So yeah, you do rest it before you cut it. Okay, so that's coming along really nicely. I'm going to start pulling my sides out now. I've got plenty there to do that with. Okay, and this one too. We don't let it go too far, without moving. But now that we've got it started, we're not getting a lot of distortion, anything like that. So you're kind of keeping an eye on how it's going. You don't get the same result every time, but, you adapt to the results you're getting. See how pointy this is getting over here? Lots of times I wished I could maintain the curves like this. I wanted to maintain these curves. The only way you're going to do that is by filling all the areas that are curved and rendering it straight by using fill. That's a whole different kind of thing, and honestly, you guys would go crazy if you had to sit there while I fill those spaces. So that's why we're going to end up with some, some sharp corners. but that's up to you. If you wanted it to be really round, round edges, you can put fill in there to keep your curves intact. I have done that, yeah. Nobody's watching. They weren't sitting there going, oh my God, I killed myself, it's so boring.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, my God. So does everybody know how to get in the fishbowl of destiny this week? Any questions? What's going on out there, Stein?
Not a lot. Everyone's just mesmerized.
Either mesmerized or sleeping. They're all snoring. All the little Z's are coming out of their little faces. Oh, man. I'll take this down to 2 inch. I mean, I may as well have a goal. It's good to have a goal, huh? Okay. So you don't go in too fast with the pinching, okay? Because it can really get crooked up there. We've gone really kind of, you know, gradually. This part we're going to cut off, I'm still keeping it straight.
Sue Castle says, where do you want them to post their cane?
Oh, here on Crafting Life. Yeah, because otherwise over at Hop, you know, lots of times things get so buried. I can start a thread. You want to do that, Bucky? We'll start a thread. We'll put post your canes here, and you post it in comments, and that way they'll be all together, okay? And that way we won't miss anything.
They asked if there's a deadline. It's Tuesday
at 8 p.m.
at 8 p.m.
Eastern. Because I go to bed at 9 p.m. So I have a date with my book, 9 p.m. So I'll spin the bowl of destiny there and see what we can find out. Okay, so that's, you know, pretty triangular. I'm going to slice off the ends, or at least one end. And as I said, we don't usually cut them now, but I'm not going to do all this and not show you what it looks like. That's kind of mean, huh? That's the right side there. Well, there you go. See? It's nice. And you've maintained your dotted lines really nicely. Nothing's gone too far off the track, right? So there's that. I guess it would make a good kaleidoscope. You know, I kind of like those shapes there, you know. Like I said, I do a lot of squares, but maybe I'll make a kaleidoscope with this if you want me to. Okay. Okay, so we'll put this one aside. Let's see.
It's 5:02.
Oh my gosh, okay. All right. Now you guys were asking me about making a triangle into a square, okay? I'll leave this here because I know not everybody got to see it, and I feel bad, but I don't want to... Oh, I can cut another hunk off of it, I guess. It doesn't really matter. Okay, yeah, so that's the other end of it. It's pretty symmetrical. I mean, I don't see anything really wrong with it. Okay, so that's the other end of the cane. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about a little bit about, let's see, I'll put it over here so everybody can see it, because I don't know if you tuned in just now or whatever. Okay, okay. So you got this, and you're going to make a square, okay? This is how you do it. You cut it in half. Okay, like this. So let's see, you have this, you cut it in half, okay? And then you put it back together, like this. And you match up both ends really nicely. Make sure you don't have anything too crazy going on. So I'm going to cut that little slice off. I don't think I've ever once in my life ever gotten it exactly cut, exactly to match. I don't know if that's possible or not. Okay, but I want to be sure that I match up both sides. Kind of move it around a little bit. Okay? All right. And now I'm going to take it and I'm going to rock it. So I'm rocking it right and left. Kind of a push me, pull you thing. But who was it that had push me, pull you? Was it Dr. Seuss? It was like a llama with a head on both ends. So it was push me, pull you. I think that was.
I don't know.
I think so. Maybe it was a different author. Okay. And I'm going to keep doing that. And that will cause a little bit of bulge and waste too, but there's no getting away from that. When you change the shape of a cane, I call it Pandorification. You get a little bit of bulge, and that's just the way it goes.
Oh, it's Dr. Dolittle.
Oh, Dr. Dolittle, yeah. See, the more you do it, it starts to get more and more square. But you see why I make them so big? I mean, golly, there's so much to be done with this cane. I mean, I wouldn't want to have to stop now and just have this little tiny crumb left, and then I wouldn't get to, you know, get any joy out of it. So, you know, I know clay's not cheap. You know, I realize that, but you know, you really got to have satisfaction. And I would rather have fewer colors of clay and make fewer canes than make canes that I don't care about. So that's just my opinion, is if you're going to make it big, and go ahead and let all your brain waves, you know, line up and explore your cane and just really enjoy the heck out of it. Because I think that's super valuable in our life. I think we need relaxation, you know. Okay. I've got square caps that I'm going to use to reduce this because I'm not wanting to waste any of this cane. It's really a nice one. And I'm going to want to make a lot of things with it. So that's how you take a diamond, which is what you get, you know, with slices sometimes. And it's now a square. And the cool thing about squares that I love so much, and you can make your round canes into squares too by using square pairs. And there's a bunch of videos on that, I believe. What I like about that is that once I've done that, I'll show you. It's not going to be this big. It's going to be much smaller because it's probably going to be some jewelry and stuff. Now, I get the opportunity to create a whole new set of motifs with the sides of this square. If this were round, I couldn't really put them together. You know what I mean? So, let's see, when you design a cane, do you have a use for it in mind? Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. It kind of just depends. I don't always have a use for it in mind. Sometimes I just really want to make cane and I just go do it. But lots of times I know what I'm going to make. Yeah. But anyway, once you've made it into a square, now you can go in all kinds of different directions with it, and you can make all kinds of new things with it, and you know, veneers and bracelets and stuff like that. So, it's been a caney day, my darlings, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I will be making tile bracelets next week, and so I'll be using my canes for that. And I'll put up a list of what we need to make tile bracelets with, and I hope that you'll enjoy that. You will need stretch cord, and you'll need either cane benders or some kind of 6-inch, 1/8 inch diameter rod, like a metal hanger, to make your groove for your stretch cord. And you're going to need some cane, so you want to make some cane this week. I'm going to take this down to probably a 1/2 inch maybe, to make the kind of tiles, maybe even smaller, maybe put them even together in 4s. Try to make the kind of tiles that I want to make for my bracelet. So you'll be wanting to think about your cane. If you're not a caner, silk screen some nice veneers, and I'll show you how to use those for your tile bracelet, okay? Thank you for coming. I love you so much. I appreciate you dropping by, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello. I have so much clay on my hands. I have so much clay on my hands that the buttons don't work.